All right, we are on air. It is Thursday, August 27th, and we're going to do a quick design check-in because we haven't had a design meeting in a while. I guess we usually start talking about Backdrop the product. There's a bunch of UX and design improvements in the queue. We've got a couple of them that went in the latest release, which I think was the security release, which came out last week. There's a whole bunch more queued up that we'll probably get into the next version. And then in the it'll come in one. There's a whole bunch of stuff that'll come out in 1.2, which is when we're going to be including WYSIWYG or rich text editing and a whole bunch of field modules. And then I think the 1.3 release, which could be super useful for people who are interested in design, is going to be focused mostly on usability and minor improvements just to make the product better as it is, rather than adding a ton of new features. If we want to put some field modules and administrative modules and stuff on that, move stuff into core list, that's fine. But I think the primary fix is just going to be, for 1.3, is just going to be cleaning up the tool that we have. So other things we're going to be working on is adding a new front-end design. So if anyone has been working on Backdrop themes and they have something that they think is a nice, clean front-end theme that people could launch a site with, we can definitely talk about moving that into core, which will be interesting. But we do want to have that develop in contrib first. So it's a port or build a contrib theme and post an issue in queue saying you're interested in moving that front-end theme into core, and then we can consider, reevaluate, adjust as needed, and schedule that for the future. We also have a style guide, which I think is going to become more and more important as things go forward, that will help guide our user experience decisions. So when we're trying to figure out which tools to use where in Backdrop, we should document how that decision was reached and what that tool is used for, so that module developers know when they're building user interfaces for their tools what kind of patterns to follow. We've got one kind of loosely stubbed out at Backdrop Ops style guide, but we, oh no, that's not the style guide. We're talking about I'm a little scattered. I was just talking about the user interface guidelines, which is different from the style guide. We're working on user interface guidelines too. The style guide is what helps us determine how things should look, and that I think is mostly done. As we find things that need new styles or need updated styles, we'll update them in the style guide first, and that'll be what we use to figure out how to make things look consistent in different places. So I think it might even be worth removing the style guide from this agenda because we don't have any to-do items left there. I think for the most part, all the stuff we wanted to get styled is styled. I don't know, Wes, if I'm wrong about that, but I think we're in pretty good shape with that right now.
Yeah, there's making things mobile optimized, but yeah, as far as desktop's concerned, everything's good to go.
Okay. So I'm going to take that out of the agenda so we don't keep talking about it every week. But yeah, in general, there's a bunch of stuff we need to improve slightly for mobile just because we haven't ever been mobile before. And we do have a handful of issues for individual tasks, I think, on that, on Backdrop the product, as well as on the style guide. All right, so big news. This is the whole point of today's meeting. BackdropCMS.org, our flagship website, finally has Find Modules, Themes, and Layouts pages. Yay! So Darius did a bunch of great design work on figuring out exactly how those should look and work. And Wes, you did a bunch of great development on building them out. They're now live on the public website. And as people start writing more modules, names, and layouts, those will continue to update automatically. We do have some features that are in the designs that have not been implemented yet. There are development tasks there in terms of how do we aggregate the data we need and display it in the way we want. And then we'll, of course, once we have the data, need to figure out how to make it look correct on the page. But I think we're pretty close. I mean, it's obviously close enough to launch, which is great, and that'll just get better with time. So tasks remaining, we just talked about this too right before the meeting, would be to look at the design, figure out which piece is missing, and create an issue that says, you know, we're missing the number of downloads. And then we'll have a task that'll say, you know, we need to figure out how to query the number of downloads and display it on the page. And then that task will get handed off from a development cycle where it got added to the page to a design cycle where it is made to look the way it's supposed to look. And then we can go ahead and close that ticket. So I'm guessing those tasks should probably all be filed in the backdropcms.org issue queue. And anyone who wants to work on that, there is a little bit of integration that needs to happen with project modules. Some views integration I think would be great because right now all our listing pages are done through views. But also just trying to figure out like where the information comes from. If we need to query stuff from GitHub, there will be some integration with our GitHub project module as well. So just some little tasks there to get that done. But I think it's looking fantastic, and I'm so excited that we were able to get those out for the world to see. All right, so upcoming, we have a couple of layout changes, a couple of design changes for the layout section, but I think we only have one layout page right now, so it wasn't super high priority. But as people start building collections of layouts and get those published, there will be, you know, a necessity to view layouts differently than you view modules or themes. We're going to want to actually see them visually somehow on the site, and finding some way to expose that information to people when they're searching is going to be useful. So we've got a little follow-up task on those. And then we also want to start building out the community aspect of the Backdrop CMS website, which will mean we need to let people log in. We need to let people edit their projects. We need to just kind of figure out how the logged in user experience differs, make sure everything looks okay. What does that node edit form look like? And just kind of spend some time on that. So we've got a couple of design review tasks where we're going to have Darius look over the current state of things and see if we need to update anything to fit with our branding or you know, make it look a little less like default Backdrop. Also on our list here, other than the Backdrop website itself, we have a category for swag, all the stuff that we're going to try and buy and hand out or give away as thank you gifts in exchange for donations. First on the list is a Backdrop Dragon t-shirt. And we have contracted the guy who made Drop our original dragon to give us a whole bunch more dragons and a whole bunch more poses. And then we'll be able to pick out a handful of those that we want to use for stuff in the future. So if we want a t-shirt and a button and a hat or a hoodie or whatever, we can pick out whatever dragons we want and use them. Those are going to be delivered to us on September 1st, which is next week. So I am super excited to take a look at some of our little dragons and see what the herd is looking like. So that'll be great. And then once we get the dragons, we will try and figure out which one to use on a t-shirt and hand those over to Darius to try and get them formatted correctly for the shirt. We're gonna get the shirts printed, and the plan is to hand them out at the Backdrop Summit at BADCamp on October 22nd. So if you really want a dragon t-shirt, come to BADCamp. If you can't come to BADCamp, let us know. There's definitely some way we could accept a donation and mail you a shirt. So we'll try and figure out how to get that worked out in order to get people the dragons they need. We also have a Reveal.js slide deck. It was something that I threw together really quickly and Wes made pretty and functional. I haven't actually gotten a chance to use it, Wes, since you have, but I think we're planning on doing a talk in 2 weeks at Nerd Summit, and I would love to use it then. So I'll probably pull that down and take a look at it and see how to use it, because I wasn't doing it correctly last time. So I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you for all of the work you've done on that. And to that end, anyone else who's doing a talk on Backdrop, if you need ideas for slides, you definitely are welcome to steal that. And if you create a talk that's different and want to contribute those slides kind of into the pool of common knowledge, definitely file a pull request against that Reveal.js deck. It is public. I think it's in the Backdrop Ops group. And we would love to kind of make that the canonical source of all information anyone needs, especially if you have something new that you think other people might want to share. I think that'll be a great tool for the Backdrop community. We also have a task here to create branding assets. So these are things like background images for Facebook and Twitter. I know we had a little bit of activity on that recently that happened in email threads, and I wanted to move that into a GitHub issue so that other people could kind of see the conversation and pick up where that left up. I haven't done that yet. I'll try and get that done today. And then, yeah, I guess I already talked about the human interface guidelines. We need to get moving on that too, especially as we start cleaning up Backdrop's user interface. And I think that working on the 1.3 release with the UX cleanup is going to be a great time to start documenting the decisions we made and why we made them. And then if we find anything that's inconsistent, we can clean that up all at the same time, document why, and I think it'll help us make a better product as a whole. So I'm really looking forward to getting into that. All right, well, that is all we have for the agenda. Is there anything else design related you wanted to talk about, Wes, that we haven't been covering, or questions or anything?
I don't think so, no. I'm good.
All right. Well, I think we're doing really well in terms of, you know, getting designs done and getting them implemented, mostly because of you. So thank you so much for all of that. Sorry again for starting this meeting a little late today, but I think it's a nice short one. So hopefully we'll just be able to keep on rolling. So development meeting check-in on Backdrop starts at 1 p.m. Otherwise, we will be in IRC in the issue queue and making Backdrop better. So thanks for joining and watching later, and we'll talk to you later.